Welcome. In this tutorial we'll cover how to save and load with variables, with arrays and with maps. So it's going to be segmented in 5 parts. First one being the introduction that you're hearing now. Second one variables, then arrays, then maps, and then a combination and some additional information. So let's start with variables, right? Actually, let's start with the basics. So what you want to do is create custom events for saving and loading and maybe deleting. You can have that in the main menu instead of like in this tutorial directly on the player character. But for saving, what we're calling, and you should really always call does save game exist, because maybe you will delete the save game or install it somewhere else or whatnot, just to be sure that it's there. If it's there, do the loading and get the cast for the save game so we can use the variables that's inside of this file. If it's not there, create a new save file and then do the same thing again. We'll cover the rest of this portion later. So then you have the delete node. Does the save game exist? If it does exist, delete the save game in slot, whatever you call it. Now, if you have multiple profiles, like different save files that you want to create, what you can do is like a main menu widget that just increases the index of the save file. So you would have like something like this, append, and then you would have save slot, and then depending on the number, to int there. And then if profile 1 is selected, it would be 0. If profile 2 is selected, you would have a whole different logic. And you would save that in the game instance and then load it from the game instance up to here. But for this tutorial and for this example, we are working with one save file. So on loading, we're calling also does the save game exist. If it doesn't exist, just create it and save. Now maybe you have some default variables that you want to load in directly, even if the game just started. It could be the case that you already have a set location, rotation or whatnot, and you want these to be immediately loaded, and you can connect this. For us, in this example, it doesn't really matter. If it does exist, then load from that save file. So you probably noticed we're loading on both things, even though one is save, one is load, because the difference is how we're using the information that we're pulling from that save file, from this file here, under this slot name. It's the basic, just like base actors, and you can see it here. This is the base actor, these are his children. This would be the base save file, and the slots you could consider the children of this one. Everyone having their own set of values inside. Alright, let's make a segue into the actual variable saving and loading. So we're done with the saving, we created the file, or it was already there, and we're just loading values to manipulate with the variables inside. We're dragging out this from this node here, putting a reroute node here, and on this part, this is just for a tutorial. You would not have this mess in your own project. It would not be this mess. This is just so we can separate different types of saving. As you can see, currently it's set to the variables, and this switcher just makes sure that only the variables in this case are saved and loaded. And keep in mind, this is just the cast. a reroute node to the cast. So from the cast we're getting saved location. That would be this variable here. And as you can see, the default value is 0 for both of them. But when we are saving, we're imprinting this new information onto that value. So we're getting the player's location, saving it onto that variable, and this is temporary. This is not saved yet. This is just like in the air. And the control rotation to have this looking us at the same direction that we saved at. This is actually where it saves. This is just up in the air. Nothing happens yet. This confirms it. Yes, I have saved the file. That's for the saving part. And now for the loading part, we're doing the same thing. We're just getting the information so we can manipulate with it, edit it, whatnot. In this case, we're not trying to overwrite the information. We're trying to load it in. So whatever we saved previously, this is where we saved. I want to load those variables, and I want to do something with them. In this case, set the actor's location, and for the saved rotation, I want to set the control rotation to where my character was looking at. So let's try this in practice. Play, and as you can see, we can delete this previous save file. Was created in the last time I tried this. So now when we go somewhere, let's see, this should be a good shot, and we press P and we save, and then we move away somewhere, and we say load. It loads us to the exact location and rotation we had when we saved the file. And that's pretty much, it's straightforward for variables, probably the easiest way to save something. Now the problem is, in your save and load, this is gonna probably extend quite a lot, because there's gonna be a lot of variables that you save. Now what you wanna do is try and to get used to structs. Basically, a struct is a set of variables. Here's for this tutorial. You see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 variables that you can manipulate and interact with, but it's stored in one single variable as a struct, which means it's easier to save a lot of them. So let's go to arrays. Now the way this is set up, it will switch to arrays, and I set it up for the variables to save location and rotation, but the arrays and maps will only save the colors of the base objects there. So what it's doing on saving, we're clearing the array, we're nuking it, we are creating a clean canvas here. And then we're getting all the base actors of that class, looping through them and adding them to our saved actors. And each time we find an actor and save it to this list, to this array, we also take its attributes and save it to another array. And for loading, basically we are taking all those saved actors and their attributes, we're getting all the base actors, looping through them, and we're trying to find all the actors that we find that are stored inside of this value. We're gonna get their index, and we're gonna get the index at the value at this index where this object is found within this list. They're gonna have the same index because we cleared it and because we stored it. And if you find something and it's at 0 index, this one will also be at 0 index. 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, and so on. And we are setting the attributes, and this is inside of the base actor. There is a node that will apply those changes, the save changes. And let's see how that looks in practice. So what just happened now? It loaded the file where we switched to variables, but the variables didn't save any actors. So what is happening here is a zero, null, error. But we are going to delete the old save file with the variables preset, and we're good to go now again. This will not be happening in your game, this is just for this tutorial project. So let's say we switch to all green. It should not save my location rotation because this is just saving the arrays of colors. Save, and when we load it will reset me to this location, but the colors will keep the same. Perfect. Let's try again, just in case. Save, load. Awesome. Now, with maps, it's pretty much the same system as with arrays. It's done a bit differently, but the end result is the same. So instead of clearing 2 arrays on the save, we are clearing just one map. The logic is the same, and instead of adding 2, we are adding just 1 to the map. The attributes for the value and the actor itself to the key. Way easier to save with maps, but a bit more complicated on loading, as you will see now. So we're getting all the actors again, same logic, just this is the difference between arrays and maps. With maps you have to get the keys and values. So what are keys and values? Some of you probably ask. Let's make a map to understand what's happening here. Make map. So let's say we want a map that has saved location and rotation already inside. And we're using for the key the location, and each location has its value for the rotation. And this is how you promote to variable. You can make a map like this. Now the keys are the top value and the values are the bottom values. For our example, this is the base actor and the values is the attributes of it, which makes sense, right? So we are finding of all these base actors that you find on the map, find it on my keys list, which would basically be this array, right? And once you're done, go through all the values of this map and get me the attribute at the index of this file. Remember, that's why we cleared and added new stuff in the arrays and the maps. So we cleared it, we put it to null, and then we added 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and so on. And at the end, just change the values. This is basically just in a base actor. It sets the new attributes and applies the changes in it. It's not really, it doesn't matter for this example. We're talking about save game. And let's try it out. It should again create a null error, deleting all the actors, because we need to delete the save file again. This because it's still switched on to the array save file. As I told you, when you make your own game, you're not gonna have to do the switching thing. You're gonna use one system that that has both of them, probably arrays and variables or maps even. But let's go. Switch all to green. Stand somewhere. It should reset our location, but keep the colors. And that works perfectly fine. Now the last part is the combination of arrays and variables. So the switcher just uses a sequence to use both the array saving and variable, or map and variable. And in practice, what this should do is again make a null error because it doesn't know what the hell to load. So we delete and we change colors. Okay, and we go to a location that is weird for us to remember good. Let's save it, let's move away, let's change the colors, and let's load. There we go. And the same works for maps too. Let's switch all to red. And let's hide behind the wall here. Save. Move away. Change a few colors. Load. There we go. And we're gonna keep this and upload it to Git like this. Now let's cover, for the ending of the video, let's cover a bit structs. This could be a lot longer, and if you're not using structs it probably will be, because we compressed 7 variables into one and we can manipulate with them like that. So to understand it on a bigger scale, let's say you have a weapon, I don't know, some kind of dagger or sword or something, and this is your base, and it has, I don't know, mana, and it has durability, and it has price, and so on and so on and so on. Now you could save these of course individually, but trust me, you would end up with a save file that looks like this, tap 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 tap, huge. Or what you could do is compress all these values to a struct, and then you just have to save one struct instead of this whole mess here. Of course, later on you will have children of this that has different values, maybe even some extras and whatnot, and it just expands, you know. It's easy to save variables, just variables as they are when you have a small project and not so much going on, but when the project is out of its baby phase and huge mess, then you will have a problem. I mean, it's gonna be convoluted to look at it, to even debug if something goes wrong later on. That's why I recommend trying to compress this as much as you can. But yeah, thank you for watching, and this project will be available to download on GitHub. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching, and have fun developing. Bye.